Hello, Kyle Draper from Keller Williams downtown Los Angeles here. I'm one of the directors of our entertainment division, and I also run my own team, which is called Serene Team. Today we are talking about the home buying process. Step number 1, get pre-approved for your loan. This is very, very important that you start here. It doesn't really make sense otherwise. You really need to know what your purchasing power is before you go out and buy something. One note about this process, by the way, is that a lot of people think you need 20% down to buy a home. You do not. 20% down is generally the benchmark for what a conventional loan is, but you can put much less down, even 3.5% down with an FHA loan, for example. When you do put less than 20% down, you pay what's called mortgage insurance, which is kind of like a fee for having less skin in the game, but it's very, very, very common. And you can also have family members help with gift funds for the down payment. Maybe a family member co-signs on the loan, so it's a fairly flexible process. And I could go way more into the pre-approval process, but I'm going to try to keep this video concise for you. So let's go to step number 2, which is find a realtor. What you should be looking for in a realtor is somebody who has experience in the area, experience working with maybe similar-minded buyers, good communication skills. Trust is something that's important. It might be hard to determine whether you trust this person off of a couple phone calls and a face-to-face meeting, but hopefully you have a good sense of character and feel good about the person. It's also very important, by the way, that the agent asks you a lot of questions. A good agent really figures out exactly what it is you're looking for, what your motivations are, and how they can best help you and tailor their services towards what you need. Once you've identified the agent you want to work with, you'll then start the process. You'll start the house hunting process, and the agent will be looking. You'll most likely be looking as well, given Redfin, Trulia, Zillow, and all that stuff. Once you find a property you like, you're going to go see it together, and then assuming you do want to pursue it, the agent is then going to run comparable sales on the home, because just because a property is listed at a certain price, we have no idea what that means. Maybe they underpriced it, maybe they overpriced it. So it's the agent's job to kind of do the homework on it, to really figure out market value rather than just looking at what the price tag on it is. A good agent will also then initiate a dialogue with the listing agent, really try to figure out what it is that the seller is looking for. Maybe they need a lease back, and that would be something that would make your offer more appealing. Maybe they're looking for a short escrow, fast escrow, whatever it may be. It's just good to kind of, especially in this competitive environment of multiple offers, to do what you can to kind of cater to what the seller is looking for, because likely you're going to be competing against other offers, and that stuff does go a long way. A good buyer's agent will also coach you on how to write a good letter to seller. This is not a required element of an offer submission, but I always coach my clients through this. Sometimes it makes a difference, sometimes it doesn't, but you might as well do it. You never know. And the whole point is to just personalize your offer, try to tug on the heartstrings a bit. I have a bunch of information I could send as well about a good example, kind of the elements of it, but again, trying to keep this concise here. The next step is also to just try to figure out if it's going to be a multiple counter situation, maybe just one round of best and final, or if the seller is just going to accept one of the offers that they get off the first round. This obviously will inform your strategy on what price you want to go with. As a helicopter flies overhead, good thing I got my microphone. So yeah, that's a really important part, is for the agent to just communicate with the listing agent and really try to get a sense of the full scope of what's going on. I'll kind of fast forward through the multiple counter process, but again, a good buyer's agent in that part, they're going to do everything they can to maybe try to figure out what was the highest offer in the first round. Sometimes listing agents say it, sometimes they don't, but at least for me, I always ask, because I try to take as much of the blind element of the equation of coming up with your best and final price, and really try to give as much context as I can for my clients to make an informed decision. Let's say that we won, we got very lucky, and the seller went with our offer. That's awesome. That's one of my favorite phone calls I ever get to make, is calling my clients and letting them know that. That then starts the process of escrow. And the first step there is to put your 3% earnest money deposit into escrow. And that is basically money that ensures that you play by the rules of the contract, which just means that if you do decide that you no longer want the house and you want to back out of the deal, that you're going to use one of your contingencies to do so. The biggest ones are going to be your inspection contingency, your appraisal contingency, and your loan contingency. So let's start with inspection contingency. Right when we open escrow, it's going to be important that fairly quickly we start lining up our inspections. This is where you're popping the hood on the house and we're trying to figure out everything that's wrong with it, every little blemish, because either we're going to try to negotiate seller to either fix or give credits for what you need to move forward with the deal, or in some deals that are marketed as is, which means the seller does not want to do any repairs or credits, we're likely doing inspections to just make sure that you can stomach the issues that the property has. If it's not as is and we do get to do a request for repair negotiation, once we conclude all of our inspections, and by the way, this is something that your realtor will kind of help coach you through, kind of quarterback. I generally tell my clients, let's start with a general inspection where they'll look at everything. Let's do a sewer line inspection, because that's one of the only things they can't really inspect because they don't have the tools necessary to do it. And then let's also do a termite inspection, and let's let the general inspection then kind of dictate all the other ones, because we could inspect the daylights out of it. There's foundation, mold, roof, plumbing, electrical, a lot more than that even. So I generally counsel my clients, let's do the general along with those other two, sewer line and termite, and then that will inform the next round of inspections we do. And we're kind of getting price tags on all the problems, and that's where we then negotiate with the seller from the request for repair, again assuming it's not as is, and hopefully we can come to an agreement. A lot of deals do fall apart here. If we can't come to an agreement, that's just where you use the inspection contingency to kill the deal, recover your earnest money, and then we just kind of move on to the next one. Assuming we could reach an agreement, the other two contingencies are the appraisal contingency and then your loan contingency. The appraisal is, if you do have a loan, there'll be an appraisal, and that's where the bank just needs to make sure that our accepted offer price is in line with market value, because if you default on your loan, it then becomes their problem. You know, it's their house at that point, so they want to make sure they're not overpaying. So that's the appraisal process. If it doesn't appraise at value, there's a million different options we have. It gets a little complicated, and I could probably go on for too long about that right now, so feel free to ask me questions specifically about that and I'll go into more detail. But if it doesn't appraise and then we can't scramble and do one of the many options we have when it doesn't appraise, we would then use your appraisal contingency to kill the deal, get you your earnest money back. And then the last one, in terms of just the timeline of this contingency, is the loan contingency. Hopefully you didn't do anything crazy during the escrow, like switch jobs or buy a boat to take on a massive new debt. So hopefully your loan contingency, we're not going to have problems with that. But we basically hold on to that until the lender has gone through just everything, the full underwriting process, and says you are approved for your loan, and that's kind of the green light for us to then remove that loan contingency. From that point, another helicopter. From that point, we're kind of in cruise control as we go to the finish line, which is our close of escrow, and closing's a 3-day process. On one day you sign your loan docs, and then that's probably the same day that you're going to wire the rest of your down payment and closing costs, your funds to close. And then the next day your loan will fund. So if it's a 20% down payment, that's where the bank's going to send their 80% of the purchase price to escrow. And then the next day is where title records, you officially are the new owner, and then I get you the keys and we pop bottles of champagne, and it's really, really one of my favorite parts of the whole process is handing my buyers their keys at the end of this. So anyways, that's kind of a lengthy explanation of this process. I kind of skimmed through a lot of it, so again, if you have any specific questions about any of those parts, please reach out to me. I would love to take you out for coffee, take you out for lunch, and we can talk more about this in detail. Normally these conversations are 30 minutes to an hour, sometimes even more than that, and this is a 10-minute video, so just know there's, I went through kind of quickly, didn't go too into detail, and if you're interested, I would love to help educate you more and to learn what it is you're looking for and how I can best help you. Have a great one.